But quite often if people go for a picnic, they like to sit under a tree. And quite often an apple tree. Apples are very particular in England for cooking, for just a quick meal. And there's something very British about it. It seems, the English apple at the countryside. And it seems to sort of give you the feeling of tranquility, of calm and quiet, and nature being where it should be, and you're joining it. So a picnic under the apple tree sort of thing would be quite, yes, I would expect that sort of thing, yeah. But I think it has different meaning. From what I understand, the cherry blossom particularly is synonymous with enjoying the brief periods in the year when the blossom begins to show and to flower and then really blossom. And there's seems to be a sort of perfect moment when it's at its full glory, and that attracts thousands of people. It would be too many for me. I'd love to experience it, but I think what I draw mostly, apart from the beauty of it, is the symbolism. And it's you that helped me to appreciate what that would mean, perhaps in the Japanese sense. If I mention from a sort of English perspective first, some people might say, but it doesn't last very long. I'd love to have a cherry blossom tree or something in the garden, but it's a shame that it passes so quickly, the blossom. Whereas I think in Japan, if I interpret it correctly, it's simply because it doesn't last very long that it is so precious. And I think that's a different perspective. And so you're reading different things potentially into the same tree, the same kind of cherry blossom. But it has a deeper rooted meaning that its precious life is not so long, so you must enjoy it for what it is and appreciate it whilst it's there. And then the blossom flies away and the tree is left getting its sustenance and its beautiful green colour, and will regenerate again the following year. And so that's another part of the symbolism, that it regenerates, but at its finest it doesn't last for very long, and it's something to really value, the precious quality of things which are there for shorter periods of time. And I don't know if you were leading on to this, but if you will allow me to suggest that what that then translated to in my feelings, that I realized that I could apply that to lots of areas of life, and I think you can take it in so many different ways if you wish. That everything is important. Everything has its moment of blossom, of rising, from the seed to the plant, to its leaves, to its blossoms, and it's coming up in the summer. And it's there in all its glory to be enjoyed, loved, and valued, I think. And simply because something doesn't hold that sort of blossom for the year round, I think is more of a reason to value it whilst it is there. You might find a rose that just stays and stays and stays, or carnations, or whatever your favourite flower or plant is. But there's something really significant about the delicacy of a cherry blossom, and the fact that if you have a high wind, some of that blossom will fly off prematurely. It will go elsewhere, and that in its own right is a beautiful sight. The drifting, falling cherry blossom, or sitting on the breeze and going from one person to the next, so everybody can enjoy that same petal or that group of petals, is an extraordinary thing, really. You can just sit there or stand there or be in amongst it and watch it. And when you think about life, we seem conditioned to the amount of years that we could hope to live or expect to live. And I started to see the cherry blossom as a symbol of so many different things, and life itself, human life, the life of trees, the life of plants, the life of so many things. And they could all be tied in together. When we were in at the Wood Hotel, and we came out one day and it was snowing, this lovely old town, wooden buildings, low-level wooden buildings, the lovely streets and lanes. And it was a very soft snow. It was snowflakes rather than heavy snow. And they were drifting just in the gentle breeze. And for me, that was a cherry blossom moment, because it wouldn't last. It couldn't last. And even more like the cherry blossom, when the blossom falls, it's still there as this beautiful sort of pink polka-dotted carpet on the ground. But of course, with the snowflakes being so few of them, they disappear as soon as they touch something a higher temperature. And so that was like a cherry blossom moment for me. And there was something wondrous about it, because you'll never see those same snowflakes again. You'll never see those same cherry blossoms again. So it's a moment of wonder in a world of extraordinary things. And what I found when we came back to Alderney, I carried that very much with me. I haven't seen the cherry blossom in its the most famous location in Japan, but in a sense I didn't need that image to experience, other than on television, to really bring home to me how important everything is. As delicate as it might be, or as substantial, from an oak tree to a cherry blossom. They're all important. And when I became aware that every morning you were opening one of our front doors to look outside and just perhaps have a spiritual moment to thank the day, I found that I wanted to do it as well, and I think that was encouraged by the delicate balance between the nature of life, or nature as life, of which we're all a part. Everything from this planet has come from some form of nature. And I also now, when I give myself time, open the door and just stand there for a few moments. And I suppose you could call it a silent prayer, or it's a silent acknowledgement. Sometimes I mouth it just audibly. Thank you for this miracle. Thank you for this planet. Thank you for this day. And I just look at everything that might not have been ever if things hadn't been arranged in such a way. And I think that's all come from the cherry blossom. It's very special. I've done it for as long as I can remember. Not every single day. It depends perhaps how tired I am, or whether it's raining or whatever. Poppy, one of my daughters, asked me a while ago whether I had ambitions as a child to be something particular as I grew up. And I couldn't think of anything that I wanted to be other than not caught in something that didn't give me the time to appreciate everything that was around. I didn't intellectualize it at the time, but I strongly remember, curious phrase, always wanting to be hungry, which meant always wanting to, or to not lose the hunger for enjoying life, enjoying nature, enjoying the planet, and what an incredible paradise it is. I never wanted to be so distracted or engrossed in the alternative of just living in the concrete world, and inside an office, and then inside a train, and then inside a house, and then round and round and round, that conveyor belt kind of life. I've done it at times, and it's fine for a short period of time, but whenever I get the opportunity at night, I step outside and just breathe deeply. But often, almost always, my attention is drawn to the sky. And thinking of Poppy again, what did I want to be? In a sense, I've realised something within me gets drawn back up there, where it all came from, wherever it came from.
Are you an alien?
Quite well, I think we all are. The kids used to ask me when they were very young, where do we come from? And so you've all come from the stars. And it sounds romantic, and it is. But that's what these planets were made from. And people have different ideas that God made it, or that it's some other sort of worldly thing. And so when I step outside, I look up there and think, if that's where we all came from, and possibly one day we'll all go back up there, maybe it'll all start again. I don't know. So it's not, as Poppy suggested, what have I wanted to be, it's what I've wanted to experience. And I get a really strong, curious connection between what's out there and what's in here. And it goes alongside in parallel. It doesn't exclude other things of what I feel when I'm in Japan, or certain parts of England perhaps. And I feel very strongly either a spiritual sense or a sense of wonder, a sense of joy. And it's that's what I've never wanted to lose. Maybe it's a bit childish. So maybe to never lose that childish wonder. But I think when we first went, before the COVID problems were around, and I met your mum, your family as well, of course, and your mum for the first time, it really came home to me what the distance between UK Alderney and Japan possibly meant to you, the distance between being able to visit your mum every week or every few days, and maybe once a year, you know, when you can fly backwards and forwards from here. So that really brought it home to me that it might be nice for us to have a cherry blossom tree in our garden. So I went to Jack's garden centre and spoke to Pat, a beautiful lady that runs it on his behalf. And I'd looked around. I think Jack had said he's got some cherry trees which were going to the garden centre in his garden, where his house is. But they were all very long and thin, very tall ones, very straight. And I thought they don't represent, I don't feel something significant about them. They just don't feel right. They haven't touched me inside. I can see what they are, and I'm sure they'll be lovely. So when I went to the garden centre, Pat said, "Oh, Jack's got some in his garden," which I'd seen. And I said, "No, it's not right. It doesn't have the right feeling to it." And she said, "I think there's one around here that's been around for years. I don't know what it's like." She said, "It's got other things been put in front of it." And we had a hunt around, and eventually she found it. And it was up against a sort of earthy bank on one side. So there wasn't much growth on that side because the light was blocked out and so on. And loads of other plants, tall plants in front of it. So we pulled those away and moved it forward. And it was this one, this beautiful one here. And I looked at it and touched the bark. And I thought, that's the one, absolutely. And there wasn't so much growth on it initially, but I just knew it was the right one. And I very much felt your mum's presence at the time, almost approving, I don't know, I just imagined this, but it represented for me that link between you and me being here and your mum being in Japan. And it was kind of symbolic of that unity. Not thinking about your family at the moment, but that they were included in, but significantly from your mum to you and through me, that we could kind of have this here and look at it from the house. And every morning I see it now, every evening, whenever I look out of the window, I look at this, and your mum is the first face I see. And it is beautiful, and it's this year, new shoots coming up and so on, and it's just a beautiful tree. And I think Pat at the garden centre read the label and said, actually, this is a very ancient species of cherry blossom. And she said she hadn't seen one before. It starts with quite a strong colour, but over a matter of just days, it gets lighter and lighter, and you get this beautiful soft pink. You can still see some of the stronger elements in the stems here. And these leaves, when they first come out, they're this sort of burnished burgundy colour, very strong, almost like a beech leaf. And those, over several weeks, get lighter and lighter and more green. And it's just the most beautiful cherry blossom I think I've seen. It's gorgeous. And I think it's quite slow growing, but it's a very old tree. And I think this one in particular is quite old anyway. So it might not get terribly high, but we can see it perfectly from every window on this side of the house.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. I just love it. All the things I've been talking about with the cherry blossom and how symbolic it is, I've certainly caught that, and it's very instilled inside me. So when I look at this, I'm not waiting for the blossom to fall. I'm hoping it's not too fast, but we do get very incredibly strong winds here, and every tree loses its leaves and its blossom quite quickly if that happens. It's really severe horizontal winds and can go on for days.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it hasn't happened too quickly this year.
Not yet.
Not yet, but it is absolutely symbolic, but emotionally, it's a very strong, almost like a quick fix. I think, it's wonderful. It's showing leaf and it's showing blossom again. This is the time of year, it's the spring, and Japan, for me, is again alive in the garden. It's expressing itself.
Thanks. Yeah. Finish.
Thank you.
Okay, then thank
I love talking about Japan because it feels as though I'm on my way there. Honestly, we could be in a plane or a train or a taxi going to the airport or arriving at Haneda Airport. Thank you.
See you next time. Yeah.
Arigato.
Arigato.
All I would just tag on the end of that is I would love to spend more time, well, we will spend more time in Japan, travelling around, and I'd love to be able to write more and perhaps photograph more, film more, talk about more with the food and wines and different districts and where the rice is grown. I'd love to see the farmlands and talk to the farmers.
Yeah, I want to.
So I need to understand and learn the Japanese language.
Okay, then.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's really lovely.
Bye bye. See you next time.
Sayonara. Thank you. Bye-bye. Arigato.
これは2022年の話なんですけれども、ようやくコロナも一段落し始めた頃だったと思います。2021年の11月の終わり頃だったと思うんですけれども、胸にしこりを見つけまして、で自分なりになんか直感みたいなもので、これもしかしたら悪性かもしれないなって思ったんですね。で診療所に電話をして、GP の予約を取ろうとしましたら、私の GP がしばらくいないので、じゃあまた連絡しますと言って、で12月はまた仕事がすごく忙しくて、であっという間に過ぎていってしまって、で1月の初めに診察してもらったんですね。で触診してもらったら、ちょっとやっぱりしこりあるねっていうことで、でガンジー島の専門医の、診察の予約を取ってもらったんですね。でそこで見てもらって、でしこりの細胞を取って検査をするバイオプシーを受けて、でその結果を聞くためにまた1週間後ぐらいにガンジー島に戻らなければいけなかったんですけれども、でいつものガンジー島の病院に行く時には大抵タクシーを使っていて、で空港からはだいたい10分から15分ぐらいなんですけれども、タクシーの運転手さんとこう世間話なんかしながら乗ってるんですね。でその日は結果を聞く日だったので、なんとなくこうおしゃべりしたい気分ではなくて、で行き先を告げて乗ってからずっと窓の外を眺めてたんですね。で春がねちょっとずつ来ている時期で、で晴れた天気のいい日だったんですけれども、道の途中でいきなり桜の木が目に飛び込んできたんですね。で本当に目に飛び込んで来たっていう感じで、今でも覚えてるんですけれども、ほんのねそれ 2,3 秒だったと思うんですけれども、こうスクッてした桜が満開ではなかったんですけれど、ピンクの花をつけていって、でそれを見た途端にこういろんな感情がお腹の底から湧き上がってきて、こう走馬灯って言ったらなんかこう死んじゃうような感じで変なんですけれども、日本の本当にいろいろな思い出が次から次へと目の前にこう再生されるような感じになって、でそれをなんか見ているっていうか感じていたら、涙が止まらなくなったんですね。でやっぱりタクシーの中で泣くの嫌だなって思っていたんですけれども、ちょっとねタクシーに乗っている間、ずっとね泣いてました。で病院に着いて降りる時にこのタクシーのお兄さんが丁 take care って頑張ってみたいな風に言ってくれて、でその言葉もねすごく胸に染みました。でなのでこの日は桜の持つすごい力を知った日になったような気がします。で桜は日本人にとって切っても切れないものだと思うんですよ。やっぱり新しいことが始まる時期の入学式だとかは大体桜の時期ですから、その明るいイメージが頭に残ってるじゃないですか。でもこの桜の華やかさと一緒にある悲しさみたいなもの、そういったものも日本人は多分感じると思うんですよ。でこれはイギリスのバラ派とかとは全く異なる価値観のように感じるんですよね。でバラは自分を守るためにトゲがあって結構長く誇らしげに私を見てみてみたいに咲いてる感じがするんですけれども、本当にねそうなのかはバラに聞いてみないとわからないですけど、でも桜は静かに咲いていて、でこの咲く時期がもう本当にものすごい一瞬の美しさみたいなのを見せつけて、で散っていくっていう、なんかもう日本人の感性で見ると美しすぎるものだと思うんですよね。でこの時期に私は3年ぐらい日本に帰っていなくて、でコロナの時期は島から出ることもなかったですし、でもちろん日本人と接する機会もなかったですから、なんかだんだんと私の中で自分の日本人としての感覚が薄くなっていってるなって感じた時期だったんですね。でそんな時に桜が目の前に現れてくれて、なんとなく日本人としての気持ちとか感覚を思い出させてくれて、でさらに安らぎみたいなものを感じたんですよね。で喜びと悲しみと安らぎまでも同時に体現できる桜っていうのはやっぱりすごいなって思った出来事でした。終わります。